Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to go ahead and take another look at a brand new Mattel Jurassic World release, and not just any release. We have a Hammond Collection release, as we have the Velociraptor Encounter Pack, the Isla Sorna Velociraptor Encounter Pack. Not much in the way of really cool packaging. As you can see, there was a sticker that they put on the front. I tried to peel it off. It became a giant mess and just ripped everywhere. But here on the side, you can see again Survival Instincts Jurassic World, and this is a sign that this is an Amazon exclusive if you were not aware, because these are the kind of packages that they usually send this stuff in. But once you actually come over here, oh, we got some tape, so let's cut that. There we go, and you open it up. You can see here on the inside, we've got a nice shot of the set contained within, the Velociraptor Alan and the extras, and then up here on the top, you can see again basically what you would normally see for the box art and everything. You could see the shot on that what we would see on like the back of the box, and also the information over here on the side of the set that usually gives you some info on the raptors and stuff, and of course the JP3 logo as well as the Hammond Collection logo. But then once we come down here, you kind of open that up, and that's when you can pull the set out. So then once you open it up, you can again see all the stuff that is contained within, all the extras that are going on with this set. So let's pop it all out of the packaging and we'll take a look at it from there. So here we go. We've got everything now out of the set, and here before us, you can see we again have the female Velociraptor from Jurassic Park 3. We've also got some eggs. We have some interchangeable hands for Alan. We also have the bag that you would carry for the eggs. We also have Alan's bag, and then of course Alan himself. And definitely looks pretty cool overall. Not the best head sculpt in the world for the raptor, but definitely doesn't look horrible. I mean, it looks okay for the most part. It looks like a pretty cool set. We'll just go ahead and say that. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So beginning with Alan, you can see Alan looks all right. Maybe not perfect to the likeness of Alan Grant to Sam Neill, but it looks okay. Looks pretty much like most of your Mattel, Alan Grant figures usually look, and definitely similar to the previously released Hammond Collection version. Obviously, though, the one thing that we have going on with this version of Alan would be a difference in the outfit that he's wearing. And you can see he has that shirt that's pretty much a classic at this point as far as the way he appears in Jurassic Park 3. And that looks really good. The designing and everything actually looks really nice on it. We also have the hat of Alan. That's, of course included, because you never want to see Alan without his hat. On top of that, when we get nice and close, you can see the eyebrows are painted, the eyes are painted, and we also have some paintwork for the hair. Looks like we also might have some alternate tones of color there for the lips. As you move down through the course of Alan, you can see he is wearing a belt, and the belt is also nicely, very carefully and precisely painted. As you move down a little bit further, you can see we also have some gray pants here for our Alan. And the actual sculpting and detailing, as always when it comes to a Hammond Collection figure, is extremely nicely done when it comes to the fine detail. Like you can see wrinkles and creases in the shirt. You could see the same deal as you move down into the pants. Again, wrinkles and creases and stuff, exactly like you would like to see. Lots of realism added to the Alan Grant figure. You can also see the boots are very nicely sculpted and painted with a brownish tone. And it's actually a little bit hard to kind of notice, and I'm not entirely sure if it's what I'm looking at that I think I'm seeing here, but it kind of looks right here like we actually have almost some slight tears in the shirt of Alan, so it almost looks again like a little bit of damage to his outfit. I may just be looking into that a little too much. It may not actually be that, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. As far as the articulation of the head goes, you can see the head and neck moves very nicely. Definitely works pretty well. Goes up and down a little bit. We also have shoulder articulation out away from the body. It can also swivel up and around. You've got the elbow as well. And then, of course, you also have the wrist, and the wrist can swivel and also pop off to, again, replace the wrist and the hand with the other hands that we have there. We've also got midsection articulation, as well as hip articulation forward and back, and, of course, out away from the body in case you want to start having your Alan do some splits. And then you have articulation that is super stiff. Let's try the other leg. Also really stiff at the knee. You can see one articulated spot above the knee and below the knee, but wow, is that ever stiff, like incredibly stiff. Not really moving much right now. I'll have to warm that up. and, try to smooth the articulation of those joints out a little bit, but you also have articulation there in the ankles, so quite a bit of articulation going on. And again, when it comes to both the front and back, our Alan looks pretty darn good. We also have Billy's bag, which is something that Alan ends up carrying, and then of course we find out that it contains the eggs of the raptor in Jurassic Park 3, and you can see it looks pretty good as far as the sculpt goes. Not a whole lot going on when it comes to paintwork. It's just primarily a black coloration, but that's pretty much how it looks in the film, so that's what you would expect. But the actual fine detail of it, again, looks actually quite excellent, and you can... It's a little hard to do. There we go. You can open it up so you can actually put the eggs inside there, which is definitely really cool. That's exactly what I would want to do with the eggs of this set. And you can see the eggs themselves are very nicely sculpted, but also actually have some coloration to them, like variation of color. You can see they're kind of like a light yellowish tone, and there's like a speckling that is kind of running through them to kind of give them a little extra variation of color, just to add a little extra bit of realism to them, which I really do quite like. You get 2 eggs with the set, and you can see when placed in the bag, they sit in there very nicely to the point where you can actually close the bag. We also have Alan's backpack here, which I actually thought was a brownish color. It's a green here in this set, so maybe I'm just remembering incorrectly. Maybe it was in fact green. I'm just thinking it's brown, but I feel like it was a brownish coloration. But you can see again that as well has some pretty nice looking sculpt. Lots of realism added to the sculpt of this as well, and just primarily a greenish tone. There's no real color variation or anything to it, but it looks pretty good as well. And then we also have the opposite hands, and that's because you want to apply hands where you can kind of hold the egg like Alan does in the film, so you give yourself the chance to kind of get your hands in an open position more so than the somewhat closed position we had them in. And then of course our Velociraptor. Now this Velociraptor primarily is the same sculpt that we've had in the past, especially when it comes to the first version of the Jurassic Park 3 male Velociraptor. It is the exact same sculpt, and in fact I just took a moment to kind of compare the two when I was looking at them there briefly, and they definitely are the same sculpt everywhere except for, of course, the head. Now the head is almost the same sculpt, but we don't have those quills because the female did not have the quills in the film. However, you can see again, even though we do have some of the aspects of the Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor present, like these kind of crests that you see here, I wouldn't say it's exactly a picture-perfect interpretation of a Jurassic Park 3 female Velociraptor head sculpt. In fact, I think it looks quite off, just like the male Velociraptor's head sculpt did, but at this point, again, it's kind of what we've come to expect when it comes to these releases. You can just see generally, again, the overall head sculpt, although looking reminiscent to a JP3 Raptor, is not by any means exactly what you would see on the Dinosaur. If you look on the inside of the mouth, you can see we have a nice purplish tone there for the tongue, as well as the skin flaps there of the side of the mouth, and on the inside of the upper part of the mouth, some pretty nice detail, as well as a nice gloss coat, and the teeth are painted with kind of an off-white, and they look pretty good as well. No real sloppiness that I'm noticing. The jaw worked really good as well, and of course you usually have great articulation on the Hammond Collection figures. We do have a light tone of color for the primary body color, almost like a light gray or an off-white, and then you have a dark brown that kind of like borders all around the eye socket area and kind of designs up into the face. Same deal up here all over the top of the head. It's not exactly the way that the Raptor looks as far as the design goes and the paintwork and the paint scheme in the film, but it's pretty much what I would expect from a Mattel release. We do have yellow eyes, and there is a black pupil, and it is just a spot that they've given there for the pupil, a circular pupil, rather than a stripe or a slit-like pupil like we often see on the Raptors, so that is a plus. As you lead back here into the body, you can see that we do pick up a speckling, so we do have a speckling added to the figure, but we have an alternate tone of brown, very different from the one that we see up here. There's a much darker tone of brown as we lead back into the neck, and you can see it just kind of designs and patterns all through the neck, and that continues as you move through the course of the body. And again, I think the coloration was more of a black on the female Raptor rather than a brown in the film, but they do have, again, kind of a similar looking design as far as the way it's applied. Again, not exactly the same, but similar. One thing that I do recall on the female Raptor, though, is that there's like a reddish tone of color around the eye, and we don't have that present on this version. As we move down, you can see the arms look pretty nice as far as the sculpt goes, but again, we're not really going to go over the sculpt itself because we have already done that before, and again, the body primarily is the same, so we're going to kind of bypass a lot of the details of the sculpt. But as you move down, you continue to see that we have that kind of brown striping and designing moving down through the course of the arm, and then leading down into the hands. We have some nicely painted nails, a nice glossy black. It's always great to see a Mattel release with painted nails. As you move back here into the stomach region, you can kind of see like a variation of brown picking up in the stomach from the chest down to the groin, and then it disappears. And you also have more of that coloration, that variation of a brown that kind of designs down through the thigh, down into the calf and shin, and then we can see the entire foot transitions to a variation of a brown, again with the painted nails. Nice glossy black there for the nails. Yet again, do we have dew claws painted? No, we absolutely do not, but we have every other nail painted. But as we lead up here, again, you see the designing kind of get a little bit bigger in the hip region. As we lead out here into the tail, you can see it runs out a little bit further, and then it's gone. And then we have nothing else for the rest of the tail except for kind of a speckling. No other coloration here on the underside or anything like that. So not a whole lot going on as far as the paintwork. Now, if you can recall from my male Velociraptor review, I wasn't all that excited about that figure. I felt like similar to the Jurassic Park Raptor, it wasn't that great because Mattel really hasn't been kind of doing their best when it comes to screen accuracy, especially when it comes to the head sculpts of the Raptors. And that stems all the way back to the Amber Collection, where they were just kind of reusing Velociraptor blue head sculpts. But again, they did do a good job as far as, putting forth a little effort when it comes to throwing the crests and everything on the Raptors to kind of make them look Jurassic Park 3-ish, but there is still quite a bit wrong with the head sculpt. Aside from that, again, the proportions, of course, are usually off when it comes to Mattel figures, but things like the thinness of the leg, it's just super thin. It looks weird. The feet are absolutely massive, which is another thing I'm not a big fan of. The tail's too short, which is also something I'm not a big fan of. But outside of the proportion issues, which we've gone over about 1,000,000 times when it comes to the Mattel line, the only other thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the paintwork of the figure, because even though it has the basic gist of a Jurassic Park 3 female raptor, there still should have been a little bit of extra color, like maybe some red around the eye, and more of that coloration designing further out into the tail. But that being said, it is still a really cool looking figure, I will say that, and I am actually really excited to finally have a male and female Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor that's super articulated like this from Mattel, because we did get a JP3 male in the Amber Collection. We never got the female. But as far as the articulation goes, one thing I really do like about the figure is the neck articulation, because look at how impressive this neck articulation is. Like, you can get some really, really nice range of movement with this head, like super, super impressive. It may be some of the nicest articulation I've ever seen from a Mattel release. And now I just jumbled the neck all up. I don't know what I did to it, but it's absolutely incredible when it comes to the articulation in the neck. You can see we've got this spot up here and then down at the bottom of the neck to really, again, give you a lot of posability when it comes to the neck region of your Raptor. We also have shoulder articulation forward and back and out away from the body, as well as elbow articulation. And then moving down, you've got the hip, the knee, and the ankle as well. I wish we'd get like some articulation on the claws, but that's just something I would like to see in the future. We also have the articulation of the tail right here, and the tail is a wire tail, giving you just that little extra bit of posability. So even though, again, it of course could be better, I'm still pretty happy to have it. Just there's pretty much the standard problems that you usually find with the Hammond Collection Raptors, pretty much abundant all over this one again. And there we have the male and female Velociraptors from the Hammond Collection here next to each other. And even though the figures do have their problems, they have the weird proportions and the kind of lackluster at times paintwork, I still am really happy to have them. It's really cool to see the two of them together here, and something that, I never in a million years would have expected to one day have. If you would have asked me about 5 years ago if I'd ever have super articulated versions of the Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptors, I definitely would not have said yes. So luckily we do have them from Mattel, and even though they could always be better, it is still pretty cool to have them here again. And of course the Alan Grant version, the JP3 version of Alan Grant, something I missed with the older Mattel release, where they did release an Alan Grant quite a ways back. I missed that one, so pretty excited to now have that set here again with the Hammond Collection. But I'm not really going to do sizes or anything. We can clearly see the raptor is exactly the same size as both the original JP Raptor and this Jurassic Park 3 male raptor that we've already taken a look at. Alan is the same size as the previously released Alan and everything, so I don't feel like we really need to do sizes or anything like that or comparisons. It's just not something that's necessary here. The only comparison I really thought we needed to see were the two Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptors together, and they do look pretty epic. So this brand new Jurassic Park 3 female raptor and Alan Grant set is pretty cool. You know, it's got its problems, of course, as the Hammond Collection Raptors always do, but it's something I've already said numerous times in other reviews, so I'm not going to continue to state that constantly. What we are going to do is talk about the fact that we actually have a good version of a female Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor as far as actually having some decent paintwork and, you know, some super nice articulation. The sculpt is also really quite nicely done when it comes to the detail. The actual detailing itself is really nice, really vibrant through the sculpt through the course of the entire figure. It does balance really nicely, which is something that's always great about the Hammond Collection. And of course, the paintwork is okay. Of course, it could have been a little bit nicer, but for the most part, they kind of got like the basic gist of what a female Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor looks like. There definitely could have been a little bit more coloration added to it, a little bit more altered on it, but you know, it looks pretty good for what it is. The Alan Grant as well looks pretty cool. Again, pretty much just like every other Mattel Alan Grant figure has looked, and you know, of course, this time we have the JP3 outfit, which I'm really excited to have. I'm still probably going to try to hunt out the older Mattel version of it at some point, but at least currently I still have a version of a JP3 Alan with this one, and again, it's really nicely sculpted, really nicely painted overall, nice, careful, precise paintwork, and yet again loaded with articulation. And on top of that, we have the extras like Alan's backpack as well as Billy's bag, which is great. We also have the eggs, which is a perfect addition to this set, and the alternate hands to kind of replace the hands of Alan so he can hold the eggs, which is also a perfect addition to this set. The only real big downside to this is that it's an Amazon exclusive, and it doesn't seem like it goes into stock very often, making it kind of a pain in the butt to get a hold of, and I haven't really seen it in stock for a very long time. I will include a link in the description to where the listing is on Amazon, and I would say add it to your, you know, wish list or whatever, and keep checking it. Maybe put some sort of notification on so when it does go into stock, you can grab it. I would imagine it's going to, because being an Amazon exclusive, it's just a matter of time before it does come back into stock, but definitely worth picking up if you are interested again when it does go into stock. So make sure you check that link in the description. Again, add this to your wish list, or maybe it'll be in stock when you go check, who knows. And make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.